Good day, everyone, and welcome to today's NHPCO We Honor Veterans Partner Networking call. During today's presentation, all participants are in a listen-only mode, and later we will conduct question and answer sessions, and you will have an opportunity to share your stories. At that time, if you do have a question or comment, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. Just a reminder, today's conference is being recorded, and now it's my pleasure to turn the conference over to Catherine Kemp. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Lori. Firstly, welcome to everyone. It's great to have you here, and thank you so much for taking time out of your afternoon to join us. We're very eager to hear from you as well as from our guest speakers. Today, we'll be hearing from Terri Roberts, the Director of Volunteer Services with Columbus Hospice, as well as Colonel Roger Barrows. They are Level 4 partners and have been for over 3 years. And Mr. Barrows facilitates the pinning ceremonies for their veteran patients, and he's been a volunteer with them for 3 years. We're also going to be hearing from Pisa, the CEO with the Dream Foundation, and she'll be talking about their Dreams for Veterans program. We also have Kristen Nanjurdaram. I apologize if I didn't say that correctly. She's the Manager of Continuing Education at the Hospice Foundation, and she's going to go over the Living with Grief program as a resource for our partners. Last but certainly not least, we have our buddy Dr. Scott Shreve, the National Director of Hospice and Palliative Care with the Department of Veterans Affairs. He will be giving us some updates from the VA as well as taking any questions from our partners. We'll also have a time available for partner networking for everyone to share best practices to help improve care for veterans and their families. So first, I would like to introduce Terri Roberts and Colonel Roger Barrows, if you'd like to go ahead.
Okay, hi, I'm Terri, and I'm just going to share a little bit about our We Honor Veterans program and how it's been running for us. We are a Level 4, and we pinned over 100 plus of our patients who are veterans, and Colonel Barrows has been a large part of our program and the success of our program.
Wonderful. Mr. Barrows, would you like to share a little bit about some of your experiences being a vet-to-vet volunteer?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I got involved with the Columbus Hospice We Honor Veterans program a little over 4.5 years ago. And initially it was, to hear the story that veterans need to tell. Every veteran does have a story, regardless if they served in a minor obligation of only a few years in the military or an entire 20 or 30-year career. And as time went along and I started listening to the stories, I realized that I was being a participant in actual U.S. history. Some of the ladies and gentlemen that I have had the honor to put pins on and give certificates to have been in famous battles like Battles of the Bulge. I had the honor of doing a vet pinning for Command Sergeant Major Basil Plumley. He was the Sergeant Major in the actual story of We Were Soldiers Once and Young, that pretty famous movie that starred Mel Gibson. And the Sergeant Major was just a monumental figure and character as we conducted that little ceremony, and he shared with us what life was like in Vietnam during that time period, the horrors of that particular conflict. But I will tell you that with the like Terri said, we've done well over 100, dozens and dozens. My only regret is I should have came into this with a journal and documented every single one, because I could probably write a pretty good history book with all these stories. But these are stories I've shared with others, and what is probably the most amazing aspect is when you do these pinnings and you're hearing these stories from these veterans and you're honoring them, their own family members, the children, the grandchildren, and the relatives and friends and family in the room, a lot of them didn't even realize that their loved one, that hospice patient, was in fact involved in what they were involved in, and in some cases did acts of extreme heroism. So it's been extremely fulfilling. On a personal level, this will be something I will never forget, and I plan on continuing to do this for as long as this program is in existence here at Columbus Hospice.
And also with Colonel Barrows and with the pinnings and what it means to our hospice, our staff, and especially the family members and the patient who's getting honored. I mean, you can hear a pin drop in the room, and the whole ceremonies, they're so moving. And sometimes we'll have somebody who said that they haven't heard a thank you in decades, especially with our Vietnam veterans and how much it means to those family members. It is one of the most moving things I've ever experienced in my hospice 15 years that I've worked here. It's unbelievable.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I know that it can be tricky sometimes for our hospice partners not only to find veteran volunteers, but to keep them involved in the program. Do you guys have any suggestions?
Well, I will have to say we're a little lucky because we're right next to Fort Benning, and but we reach out to Vfw'S, any kind of event that has a veteran affiliation or association. Our hospice, we're there passing out brochures, sharing the information regarding our program, and it's an easy sell when, especially with people who are retired military or currently in the military. They find it very important to honor those that have went before them, and especially a hospice patient who is a veteran. They're really easy to get on board. So we've been pretty lucky. We're very lucky that we're right next to Fort Benning also.
Oh, wonderful. Lori, could we go ahead and open the lineup in case anyone has any questions or comments?
Certainly. And if you have a question or comment at this time, please press star 1 on your touch-tone telephone. And just a reminder, if you're joining us via speakerphone today, make sure your mute function is turned off to allow that signal to reach our equipment. Once again, star 1. And we'll go first to Christine Berkey.
Hi, I'm calling from Cascade Health Solutions Hospice in Eugene, Oregon. And I wanted to ask the Colonel if he needed to have any special training in the volunteer program to become the person who goes out and does the pinnings and honors the veterans.
Yes, ma'am. Columbus Hospice here has a very comprehensive volunteer training program. Regardless if you're doing what I do, honoring the vets, any type of volunteer training with this hospice requires pretty comprehensive vetting, background checks, tetanus shots, stuff like that. And then in my particular arena, there was just some additional stuff about, privacy with military veterans information and stuff like that. I've also begun to be interested in possibly recommending some of our military hospice patients for possible induction into the Georgia Military Veterans Hall of Fame, which began in Georgia in 2013. And that simply is just getting permission from the hospice patients' family members to get their DD, which stands for Department of Defense Form 214, which initiates the induction process into the Hall of Fame. But basically, the hospice here has a comprehensive volunteer training program, which I complete, and then there's annual recertifications, which I have also done.
Thank you.
And we'll go next to Ann Jansen.
Oh, actually, my question was the same as far as the training to get additional veteran volunteers. We find that the idea of going through, like a 10-hour training, like we do for all our, majority of our volunteers, especially if they're only signing on for doing the pinning ceremonies for us, the certificate of appreciation, that type of thing. We're getting some resistance where they don't feel it's necessary to go through all that comprehensive training. So I didn't know if anyone was out there doing a abbreviated type training or something. Maybe it was available.
This is Terri Roberts. We just found that going ahead and having the volunteers that do our We Honor Veterans pinnings, for them to go ahead and go through our main training and to let them know up front about it, and then we can, of course, use that time as direct patient care, and that goes towards our 5% requirement. So that has worked out very well with us. It may have kept a few out, but so far that has been a great process for us.
Okay, thanks.
And we'll go next to Wendy Worley.
Hi, thank you, sir, for your service. I really appreciate that you kept this country free and continue to do so. I am from Massanicare in East Lyme, and Connecticut is a very rich military state, especially the area that I'm in with the Coast Guard and the submarine base and Navy base. But I'm finding it hard to find veteran volunteers. I guess a couple of the men have made a comment to me that some veterans are just not ready to share their experience. So I'm wondering what I could do to reassure the veteran volunteers or the vets that we recruit when they come onto our service or when they visit the patients, that would help them be a little bit, I guess, more comfortable with their experiences.
Well, I'll make this initial recommendation. My current job is I am the director of junior ROTC for our school district here in Columbus, and it's a pretty big school district. And I was the assistant director and a regular JRTC instructor when I came on board as a volunteer to hospice a little over 4.5 years ago. My suggestion is if you can find out if there's a local junior ROTC in that part of Connecticut, the senior Army instructor or any of the JRTC instructors in the area will probably be inclined to do this because they're teaching cadets about selfless service and community service and servant leadership as part of the curriculum, so they themselves are more inclined to want to do this. Matter of fact, as I'm sitting here with Terri, when I first started doing this veteran pinning program here at Columbus Hospice, I brought junior RTC cadets with me in uniform because I was trying to teach them the importance of honoring those who have served. And also, JRTC instructors, they're varied backgrounds. I deal with the Army JRTC, but of course it doesn't matter what the service is. They can honor a veteran of any service, to include the Merchant Marine. But they tend to have backgrounds, especially with the teaching and pedagogical aspects, of really being able to connect to the patients. I've had some patients that weren't very talkative and weren't able to, weren't willing to give a lot, and we are good at adapting what little information we get into a dignified little ceremony. But I would really recommend your local JRTC unit, if there is one. They make great honoring military veteran service volunteers.
How about the veterans that I'm trying to recruit, though, that have served already in the service and have been in wartime? How to get them to be a little more comfortable with the whole We Honor Veterans program and the veteran volunteer program? Those are the ones I'm having a hard time recruiting.
This is Terri. My suggestion is maybe having them buddy up with one of your current volunteers, veteran volunteers, and maybe that'll take a little bit of the apprehension away from them.
Okay. All right.
Maybe also hosting your facility hosts an appreciation luncheon, sort of as an icebreaker, thanking them for their service, and putting a little special thank you focus on them, and then pitching what you would like for them to do. And
okay, great. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Okay.
And we'll go next to Arlene Liss.
Hi, this is Interim Hospice in Pittsburgh. We already have our vets on board, but we would like to know if you could give us just a brief what your pitting ceremonies look like and what works best. We have our vets on board and everything, and that's a great idea. We'll contact our RRTC to get involved as well, but what would your pitting ceremony look like? Thank you.
Well, I get an information sheet from the it's an information sheet that Columbus Hospice has. It's a form, and it's filled out ahead of time with the help of the nurse and or the social worker involved with that particular patient. And the form has all the basic information of what service were they in, what period, were they in direct combat, what were their military occupational specialties. And it's hard to get everything, especially if the patient isn't coherent or is unable to provide it himself or herself or is unwilling. You may have to get the information from the loved one, the wife or one of the children. But for the most part, we get enough where I can put together, and our ceremonies are never more than 5 or 10 minutes long. They're usually in the patient's room, either here at the hospice or at their home, and people gather around, and once everyone is there that's going to be there, we really cater to the family. If there's a family member that's running a little late, we agree as the hospice contingent that we're going to wait. I will not volunteer for any of the pinnings unless I've got, ample time to do this. And the actual ceremony basically consists of presenting a hospice certificate of appreciation signed by our hospice director and a little veteran lapel pin that was created by our hospice. And then I say a few words, and being a military guy, I'm able to put together a little short, dignified narrative on what this person did, when they did it, and if anything they did was heroic. And probably the most spectacular moment is when I finish up with saying, on behalf of a grateful nation, we appreciate you for your service, and I render a military salute. And I've got to tell you, sometimes it's okay, and they return a salute. And there's other times where everybody in the room, including myself, pretty much loses it. But that's pretty much how the ceremony goes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you both so much, Terri and Colonel Barrows, for not only for all of the work that you're doing, but for sharing this. And again, we'll have some more time later on in the call for some questions and sharing. But I'd like to go ahead and move on to Kristen with the Hospice Foundation. I know you were going to share a bit about the Living with Grief program as a resource for our partners.
Yes, thank you. This is Kristen with the Hospice Foundation of America. I just wanted to share some information about our educational program that we have available. It's titled Improving Care for Veterans Facing Illness and Death, and it's designed to assist those working with end-of-life care to provide, better understanding of veterans and to give you guys new interventions to better serve dying veterans and their families. The course itself is 2 hours and 30 minutes, and combined with an additional 3 chapters of our companion book, it provides all learners with 3 CE credits. So it's not only educational, but it does provide CEs for those who need them. This is a self-study course, but it's flexible in that you can add learners so that you can show it to a group. And we do provide a discount for We Honor Veterans providers.
Thanks, Kristen. Lori, could we open up if anyone has any questions or comments?
And if you do have a question at this time, please press star 1 on your touch-tone telephone. And we'll go first to Lisa Kroner.
Yes, Lisa Kroner with Crossroads Hospice in Memphis.
on this program for 2 hours. Is this done through the internet, or is this something that we could have a speaker come in and speak to this program on improving care for the veterans at end of life, or how do we go about getting that educational?
Sure. Yep, we have 2 options available. It's available as either a DVD course or an online course. So if you select, you're going to receive a DVD and the companion book in the mail. A discussion is not required with the self-study courses, but you can certainly have your own discussion afterwards, which, we do find helpful because that's the format of our, annual Living with Grief programs. But it's also available as an online course, so if only one person or a few people wanted to view it online, it's a little cheaper, and the online video is posted directly online along with the 3 PDF chapters.
Thank you.
And we'll go next to Debbie Flegging.
Yes. Hey, I'm sorry, I'm right.
And Debbie, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I had to take the keypad off my phone. I'm from Terre Haute, Indiana, Intrepid Hospice. We're a new hospice, and I'm a new employee, so I'm very grateful to be involved in this. What is the website and the cost of this Living with Grief program?
Sure. Yeah, our website is www.hospicefoundation.org. We have several educations available. If you just click on the Veterans program, you'll get on this self-study course. The cost is $44.95 for the DVD course or $35.95 for the online version. You can have as many attendees as you want, really, with this, but we do charge an additional $12 per person for CE credits if they need them. One is already included with the course itself, but if you want additional learners, we only charge the $12, and it is 3 CE credits.
Okay, and it's a book extra?
I'm sorry, did you ask if it was a webcast?
Pardon me?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question. But this is either a webcast, so it's an online, you can view it on demand. It's an online streaming video, or we do have a DVD version available, so then you can receive the DVD in the mail.
Oh, okay, I understand. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And we'll go next to Miriam Gregorian.
Yes, hi. We're calling from MSP Hospice. We're located in Los Angeles, California. My question is, I wanted to know for the veterans in this area, how can we make it better for them and provide more volunteer service and care to them?
I think that's a question better, sent to Catherine, if you want to take that one.
Yeah, hi, Miriam.
Hi.
Glad to speak with you again. Could you repeat your question?
Yes. My question was, I wanted to see, since we are located in the Los Angeles area, California, actually, I wanted to know how can we make it better for the veterans over here for providing them more volunteer services, because we don't have that much of services around this area. So as a hospice agency, I just wanted to see if there is a way that we can give them the care and the volunteer services.
So are you, I remember speaking with you on the phone, are you currently enrolled in the We Honor Veterans program?
Yes, I am.
Okay, what level are you at right now?
Level 2, I think, yeah.
Level 2, okay. So again, a big part of that is going to be community outreach and beginning to engage with your hospice veteran partnership in your area.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yes, I'm listening.
Yes, engaging with your hospice veteran partnership in your area. And for your case in particular, I'd be happy to set up a call where we can go a bit deeper into your case specifically.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And we'll go next to Margaret Howard.
Hi, this is Margaret Howard with Hospice of Michigan in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So my question is, may I have the name of the HFA program again? I wasn't quite clear on what this particular training, the title is.
Yeah, the title is Improving Care for Veterans Facing Illness and Death.
Okay, and then I'm wondering, I understand that it's $12 for additional persons. So are we able to set this up and invite our community partners in, those community partners who perhaps we are both providing care in a facility to one of our patients, so we can open this up to the community and invite their staff in as well, so, you know, we can all be learning together while we're caring for the same patient. I'm assuming it's okay to open it up to the community then?
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome to invite anybody that you wish to do the program. And then we just ask that, you know, for each person who is requesting the CE credits for a professional board, that we just charge them the $12 fee. But they're just coming for educational purposes, that's absolutely fine as well.
Great, thank you.
And we'll go next to Rosie Cunningham.
My question was answered. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Kristen, I know you're short on time. Do you have time for maybe one more question?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Thanks.
And that will be from Vicki Vaughan.
Hi there, this is Vicki Vaughan with Intrepid Hospice in Indianapolis. Actually, my colleague out in Terre Haute asked the exact questions I was going to ask about website and purchase information and all that. So thank you very much.
Oh, sure. No problem.
We'll go next to Toby Weiss, and that's the last question at this time.
Hi, this is Toby Weiss. I'm from MJHS Hospice Palliative Care in New York City. I just wanted to comment for the group. We've used the DVDs in several different ways, and maybe this can be helpful to some of you out there. We organized a dinner and learn program, so clinicians and field staff who were interested were able to come to the office toward the end of the day, and we aired the DVD, and we had a pre- and a post-evaluation survey with questions that were able to document outcomes, learning outcomes that the staff achieved through viewing the video. We also purchased more than one DVD, and I chair the Veterans Committee at MJHS, and we created a lending library so that folks who were unable to come to the headquarters were able to take it out like from a library and then return it. And the one other thing that we did that I think was helpful was for different team managers in facility-based care, they were able to show parts of the video over a series of weeks at the end of their interdisciplinary team meeting. So we found it to be extremely beneficial and very, very well received. So maybe that could be helpful to you. And one last note was our HVP, Hospice Veteran Partnership in New York, showed the DVD on a few occasions.
Yeah, those are some great suggestions. Thank you for sharing those.
And there are no additional questions at this time. Sorry. Thanks.
Oh, thanks, Lori. Yeah, thank you, Toby. And thank you, Kristen, so much for that information. And again, we'll be posting that on our website, as well as sending out an announcement to our partners that this resource is available for you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so next we will be hearing from Pisa with the Dream Foundation.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. It's an honor to be here with you today, and thank you to the We Honor Veterans team for inviting me to tell you about Dream Foundation and our Dreams for Veterans program. For those of you who don't know us, Dream Foundation is the only national dream-granting organization for adults, and for more than 2 decades, we have served terminally ill adults and their families by providing end-of-life dreams that offer inspiration, comfort, and closure. Since our inception in 1994, Dream Foundation has served nearly 25,000 dreams nationwide, and we have never turned down a qualified applicant. Throughout our history, we have served more than 600 of our nation's military veterans. In 2014, we formalized our commitment to serving veterans and created Dreams for Veterans. In its inaugural year, the program served 115 veteran dreams and nearly 200 in 2015. But this is really the tip of the iceberg when you consider the number of veterans facing end of life. Dreams for Veterans dreams include tailored elements intended to recognize our veterans and their service. Often we see that veteran-centric aspects of the dream experience allow recipients to reconnect with aspects of their military service, as well as reconcile memories and achieve a sense of closure. Sometimes it can be hard to really understand what a dream entails, so I'd like to share with you one today, and this is Joe's dream. Joe is a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and he dreamed of visiting Pearl Harbor since stopping there briefly on his way home from Vietnam in 1971. He saw the Pacific Fleet from a distance and promised himself he would return one day to pay his respects for the lives lost in the attacks there. 43 years later, accompanied by his brother and sister-in-law, Joe made the trip back to Honolulu, where he received a VIP tour of the USS Missouri. After completing his dream, he remarked that he is finally able to rest in peace. Joe's story received substantial media attention, which helped highlight Dreams for Veterans across the country. Our dreams vary widely. Some dreamers want something as simple as going to a pancake dinner at their local VFW. Others want to visit memorials to remember their fallen comrades. We've learned through the years that the dreams impact families and caregivers as much as the dreamers. It gives everyone the opportunity to create new memories in their final days. The qualification for our programs are that dreamers are 18 years and older, have a life expectancy of 1 year or less, which we verify with the applicant's doctor or hospice representative, show proof of military service, and lack the resources to fulfill the dream themselves. Partnerships among the VA and community health providers and other organizations that serve veterans are very important to our success. We are working to build our existing partnerships and expand to new partnerships to extend the critical work of caring for the whole patient at the end of life. We support social workers and hospice professionals by allowing them to focus on providing care to their patients while we provide dreams. Our program is a welcome relief to care teams, and through Dreams for Veterans, these care teams are able to use Dream Foundation's resources and national network of partners to serve the needs of their patient more successfully and effectively. One impactful element of our Dreams for Veterans program is the veteran-to-veteran dream deliveries, where volunteers have the ability to participate in the dream. Each dream recipient receives a box that has Dreams for Veterans t-shirts, hats, details about their dream, and anything else we can add to the experience. For our veteran dreamers, we try to find a veteran or a representative from a veterans organization, such as their state's Department of Veterans Affairs, American Legion, or their county veteran service officers to deliver the dream box. These special dream deliveries allow volunteers to meet, honor, and acknowledge fellow veterans by presenting them with their dream packages and celebrating together. We have created a Veterans Advisory Committee made up of experienced veteran community leaders to help us expand our reach into the communities, ensure we are sensitive to the special needs of veterans, and that the program remains financially sustainable in the long term. And I should note that we're proud to have the National Hospice Foundation, Sarah Meltzer, as a member of that committee. We have some information that will be circulated about Dreams for Veterans, but I encourage you all to visit our website, dreamfoundation.org/veterans. And please do not hesitate to call or email if you have any questions. We're happy to provide outreach services to assist you and walk you through what the application entails. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a reminder, if you do have a question at this time, please press star 1 on your touch-tone telephone. And we'll go first to Dee Zatunian.
Yes, hi. I'm with Optum Hospice in Atlanta. I've worked with the Dream Foundation for Veterans Dreams, and they are awesome. So I encourage everyone to do it. I just love them. Great dreams. Great recognition. Thank you.
Wow, thank you for that endorsement.
And once again, star 1, and we'll go to Jeannie Carr.
Hi, dear. Could you give me that website again?
Yes, it's dreamfoundation.org, and you can do a /veterans or just click through to find out about the program.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And next to Jennifer Masvol.
Kudos to you. This is Deb Hickey listening in with Jen. What a wonderful program, and thank you for that. I just have a question, and maybe I missed it. How are you financing that? And I assume it's completely free, right, for any of us to encourage our veterans to apply?
Yes. Absolutely, yes. So we do not at present receive any state or federal funding. We rely solely, in fact, 100% each year on raising our budget through individual, foundation, and corporate donations. And so we're able to provide this service to any veteran in hospice care, and we are also currently looking to expand our existing partnerships, and we have a wonderful program if any hospice organization is interested on a larger level of being involved.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And we'll go next to Debbie Flegging.
Okay, I just have a kudos again for the Dream Foundation. Our hospice is currently working on a dream that just got approved this week for one of our patients to have a huge family reunion with bounce house and tent and air-conditioned tent and tables and food and everything, which was her dream was to have all of her family together. There's family from all different states coming in, and thank you for helping us make this happen.
You're very welcome. It's our pleasure.
And we'll go next to Lisa Craner.
Yes. Just some more information about this Dream Foundation. I'm not familiar with it, and I know some of the dreams that you were talking about were really big, like going to Pearl Harbor. What have you had, like little smaller dreams too? Something that might be like if a veteran couldn't travel far. Do you have any ways that you provided dreams for veterans who couldn't travel, if there was a dream they wanted to do just right in your room?
Absolutely. We have those all the time. In fact, about 40% of the dreams that we serve each year are for what we consider to be quality of life or basic needs. And they can be something, as you won't believe, we received a request recently, a few months ago, for a gift card so that the patient could receive socks and a loaf of bread. So the range is very wide on what the requests are, and we're happily able to fulfill them all and treat each request as important as the one before.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
And moving next to Elaine Lundstrom.
I wonder how long it takes to accomplish one of these major travel dreams. If you can give me an idea from the time of application, what we're talking about.
Well, it really depends on the patient's condition, and we look at that very closely. We have a category that we call emergency dreams, and that is for a life expectancy of 2 months or less. And if we receive an emergency request, we will begin working on that same day. And in some instances, we can move family members for a bedside reunion within 24 hours. So we jump on those as quick as we can. On average, I would say that the processing time for us to verify the dream and start lining up our resources is roughly 3 weeks. It can take a little bit longer, but within that 3-week period, the applicant will be contacted by one of our dream coordinators, and they will begin working on it.
Great. Thank you.
And once again, it is star one if you have a question, and we'll go next to Shelley Wagner.
Hi, I'm with Willamette Valley Hospice in Salem, Oregon, and one of our programs is a palliative care program. And when you said that they needed to have a life expectancy of 1 year or less, I wondered about that since the standard for hospice is 6 months. Do you work with palliative care programs as well?
Yes, we do. And, we really look at this 12-month as sort of our starting point. But anything that is less than that, we certainly look at. In fact, I was just in Salem, Oregon yesterday meeting a palliative care patient myself. So, yes, we do.
Great.
And just a final reminder, if you do have a question or comment at this time, to please press star one. And we'll go next to Debbie Daigle.
Yes, hi. I heard you talk about the dream box, and I kind of missed some of the information. What was included in the dream box?
Well, what we do is when we're ready to present a dream, particularly if it's a travel dream, but really for any type of dream, we like to have an interaction with the patient rather than them just receiving an email or something through the mail. So what we do, and oftentimes if there is a referring social worker or a hospice involved, we will work with that social worker, and many times they will serve as our volunteer to deliver, we call it, this dream. And in that box, we send all of the components of the dream. So if there's vouchers of any kind, we'll have them printed out. We'll have certificates. We'll have instructions. We have dreams for veterans T-shirts and hats. And oftentimes our volunteers will be there with cameras and taking photos and really making it as much of a celebration as possible. And we're able to do this about 75% of the time of all of the dreams we serve, which is about 2,500 a year, because we really believe in that celebration. And whether it's the referring social worker or a team of social workers from the hospice, or it could be, if the patient's living at home, it could be one of our corporate partner volunteers. We have a national network of volunteers who get involved and go out and meet the dreamer, as we call them.
Well, it sounds great. It sounds like it would be a good place to start with on my level. Actually, I work for Bridgeway Healthcare and Hospice in Lafayette, Louisiana. But I was thinking of the box. I can get some of my volunteers to a red, white, and blue box, or on that. I'm just thinking of crossways that we could start it off, and with some of these items in it, that would be awesome. That would be great.
Oh, great. Well, we're happy to work with you and help you set that up if you have dreamers that you refer to us.
I will. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And it looks like I have no additional questions at this time.
Great. Thank you so much.
So, Kisa, if you have time, maybe we'll take one more question.
Sure, absolutely.
And we do have one from Beverly Christopher. Please go ahead.
To this late, and I did not get the number or contact number for this. It sounds like a wonderful program.
Yes, hi. So let me refer you to our website. It's dreamfoundation.org. And our veterans program, you can just do a /veterans, and it will take you right to all the information about the program.
Dreamfoundation.org.
That's right.
And then just veterans.
Yes, /veterans.
/veterans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is wonderful. And and tell me your name again, please.
My name is Kisa, Kisa, Last name is Heyer, Heyer. My email address is kisa@dreamfoundation.org, and I'm the CEO.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry.
You're welcome.
I got mixed up on the time, and so I got in late. I apologize.
No worries.
Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you so much to Kisa. It sounds like our partners already have a lot of love and excitement for the Dream Foundation's work. And again, to everyone on the call, we'll be posting just some general information that they sent on, as well as contact information if anyone has any questions or would like to reach out. So next, we're going to move on to our tried and true Dr. Scott Shreve, the National Director of Hospice and Palliative Care with the Department of Veterans Affairs, just to give us some updates from the VA as well as answer any questions that you may have.
Boy, I'm delighted to be here, and just want to do a quick sound check. Everything sound okay for my microphone and voice?
Yep, you're loud and clear, sir.
Oh, great. Hey, thank you. I can't resist. I want to tell a quick story, and then I want to dig into a very challenging situation and ask for your guidance, but also to open it up for any questions that you all may have. The story was a deceased veteran's wife came up onto our unit about 3 hours ago. I was up there doing an admission, and the wife came up to the unit and greeted her. We pretty much have an open door policy. If you're a family of a veteran who died on our unit, it's not uncommon to have these family members periodically stop back, and we really try to stop everything we're doing and just take a few moments to check in with them that they took the time to come visit. And so this past Memorial Day, she decided, as usual, she was going to put some flowers on her deceased husband's gravesite. It was out at the National Cemetery in central Pennsylvania, and she had put the flowers out there and went home. And for whatever reason, decided, I think I'll just turn on the TV. And she goes, oh, boy, who put it on this channel? I don't usually watch this channel. And she looked at the screen, and it was a newscast being done about Memorial Day, and there they were filming her husband's gravesite, and she had her husband's headstone staring at her in the TV while she was at home there with her flowers at the base of the headstone. What are the chances of something like that happening in the world? So it just never amazes me, and I'm sure you all have many stories. If you haven't read the story about the homeless woman that was in the homeless veteran female that was in the Washington Post on June 10th, it is worth a Google. For those of us in the D.C. area, wow, you better have a tissue box nearby. Okay, so we'll jump into the challenge. And if you look at the journal Cancer in December of 2015, there's a wonderful article about concurrent care with the VA and community hospices. The principal author is Vince Moore, and he talks about the growth and the barriers to concurrent care. Medicare Care Choices model, I think there's approximately 140 sites that are participating in that. VA has been blessed that we've really been doing concurrent care forever. There's no limitation as to what we can provide while simultaneously providing hospice care. But I wanted to ask you, I've had a series of meetings with the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid about this issue. We have a pending higher level communication going on. I wanted to ask you for how have you managed to blend the care provided by VA medical centers with the patients that you are caring for under the Medicare hospice benefit or VA paid hospice. And I know some of you are doing concurrent care, but I wanted to learn from all of you as to how you're able to make that happen.
And for your comments at this time, please press star 1.
And if no one calls in, I'll take that to mean that that you're able to make it happen, but you're not able to publicly make it known because there are some potentially serious implications of concurrent care. And I'll just give an example while we're waiting for a few people to come in. The VA has a fairly generous pharmacy benefit and formulary. And these expensive chemotherapeutic agents that can be used even in fairly late-stage lung cancers are on our formulary. And there are patients who are receiving fairly non-toxic oral chemotherapeutic agents that likely would qualify for hospice services as well. And I could envision a veteran wanting to get that expensive oral chemotherapeutic agent from their VA, but the dually eligible veteran may also need and want hospice services in the home. And that seems to make sense to me, but I'll wait and see if others have any thoughts on that example.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, *1 for your comments at this time.
And that's okay. That's a pretty sensitive topic to talk about publicly. I just thought I'd go right to the source here. I'm happy to shift gears and open up the lines to any questions you have, and I will try to share any answers I have.
And we do have a question from Cassie Wishkemper.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, I was going to make a comment. I work for Interim Healthcare in Oklahoma City, and we actually have a couple of different programs. And so we have a home health program and a hospice program. And so some of our patients that are wanting some of that concurrent care, what we do is we have them on more of like a bridge program, a palliative program. And so we still consider it as part of the home health, but they get the benefit of the hospice care and the hospice team. And so they're still able to get some of those chemotherapy drugs or therapy and stuff like that while they're still receiving the benefit of the hospice services.
Nice. I like that solution. And I just wanted to clarify that article that I mentioned in the journal Cancer by Vince Moore. It didn't look at bridge programs, so it looked at simultaneous delivery of hospice. They had access to a Medicare hospice database as well as VA care, and there is significant growth in that concurrent care. But I think, Kathy, what you just described, I bet there's even more significant growth in bridge programs that try to weave your way through a difficult legislative and policy path.
And once again, *1 for your questions or comments, and we'll go next to Linda Rockwell.
Great. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Dr. Shreve. I'm in Glenview, Illinois, which is in the Chicago area, and we have the benefit of having 3 VA medical facilities in our service area, so we get referrals from all 3. But my question is very specific to Vietnam veterans. When we, we always do a military history checklist upon admission of new patients. And if we, of course, determine a patient is a veteran, we will inquire about offering an honoring ceremony, a pinning ceremony. And we are seeing more and more of the Vietnam veterans now, and some of them are very resistant. They have no interest, almost become agitated when it's even suggested. So, of course, we respect their wishes. But my question is how, our social workers are looking for guidance on how can we best handle this. The rest of the team as well, but the social workers in particular would just really appreciate some tips, some guidance, some things to say for discussing the issue of their military service.
Yeah, this is, more than a Grand Rounds presentation issue, and I think what I have seen as far as guidance in this area the thanking you for your service is something that almost universally gets received very positively, and occasionally I've observed and heard of others where Vietnam veterans shy away from that. And the pinning, obviously, I think asking permission to do the pinning and not assuming that it will be well received. I guess it was on a TV interview in Washington, D.C. with a member of the hospice down in that area, and we kind of covered the same topic, and the response I got from a veteran was you just need to read the body language and offer the sincere thanks for their service and what they did and were instructed to do by their superiors, and that we're there to help them going forward. Boy, there are so many deeper layers to this onion, if you will, the metaphor here of this could be an opportunity to identify post-traumatic stress disorder, and then I suspect a number of you on this call have maybe heard of Deb Grassman talk about soul injury, or David Wood in some journal articles also talk about the moral or soul injury. So I think this is an area where we need to be very sensitive, very attentive, and I guess my brief recommendation for this call would be please don't brush it off and allow it to go at the veteran's pace and the veteran's direction. And most of the time that will call for building trust, and boy, trust is not always easy, especially if someone believes that they have not been treated well by their government over the years. So, Linda, I think in a short answer, that's what I have, but I'm happy to, maybe this is a good segue to say we're addressing some of these issues in the updated ELNIC for Veterans curriculum, which is, I know you were interested in really guidance for social workers. I know this is perhaps a more nursing-focused curriculum to be released at the end of this summer, but this issue will be in there, and I believe it will be equally relevant to social workers. So that may be our best resource going forward to share widely.
Thank you.
That's a great question.
Our next question today is from Kimberly Rumaker.
Hi, Kimberly.
Hi there. It's good to talk with you. I had two comments. One about the previous caller. I think it's about just time, and I would just like to reaffirm what you said. I think it's developing the relationship. And a lot of times, as I found my staff, they really embrace the idea of some kind of ceremony because it's the low-lying fruit. So I think it's really important to simply wait. And not everyone desires that recognition. And I think we, on our zeal to be everything that a veteran needs, we have to recognize that sometimes that's not what people need. So I just wanted to reaffirm what you had said.
Oh, thanks, Kimberly.
And the second thing was about concurrent care. I guess I was trying to understand some of your questions because I work for Samaritan Healthcare and Hospice, and we've done concurrent care, I would say, for the 10 years that I've been here, and it hasn't really been an issue. In our relationship with the Philadelphia VA, we really follow their lead. We're here to supplement whatever it is that they do. Because we're in New Jersey, we don't have a medical center in New Jersey that we're able to access from our location. So we've been very successful. I think the issue has been more education to our staff because they're so fearful that, we're practicing outside of our scope or we would be engaging in fraud or something like that. It really has just been education and individualizing the plan of care, and if we start from that origin, generally we're pretty successful.
That sounds like wise advice. I would agree completely. And the language that I've been using in my discussions with CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, is this veteran served and is enrolled and eligible for full VA benefits. And if they just so happen to be duly eligible for Medicare and the Medicare hospice benefit, why should a veteran have to say, I can only get care under Medicare hospice, and I can never go back to my VA, to tap into my VA benefit, and as long as there's no duplication of services, so whatever you provide under the Samaritan Healthcare and Hospice, services, your universal package of services, as long as VA isn't, overlapping in that delivery, I am so delighted to hear, Kimberly, that you're able to provide this concurrent care and do it well with a big VA. So
I think we try, and it does get complicated because I think the idea of concurrent care, it really can be a little frustrating from the hospice perspective as well, because the question becomes, what's the purpose of your pursuing certain things, and how the benefit burden issue. So I always think that that's a good thing. Eventually, a lot of the concurrent care stops because somebody is declining or they've come to different goals in their life. But I think if we can always go back to the purpose, it's a beneficial thing.
I agree. And that benefit burden balance, boy, does that change almost on a daily basis sometimes.
It sure does. Well, thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you, Kimberly.
And we'll go next to Dolores Hickman.
Hi, Dolores.
Hi. Thanks for all that you do. And I just wanted to share about one of our Vietnam veterans. The way we did it was to honor him, was to have the nurse who he felt comfortable with and trusted to go out and do the pinning, and along with a red, white, and blue Afghan to keep him warm that one of the volunteers made, and, of course, there's a certificate. And so the nurse did it and was able to come back and share with all of us that he cried, and he said he couldn't thank her enough because no one had taken the time in all these years to thank him for his service. So we don't want to forget that we need to continue on trying to reach out and help the veterans, especially, I think, from the Vietnam era.
I agree with you completely, Dolores, and you made me think while you were sharing that story, to kind of go back to Linda's question, perhaps, and most of you have found this out already, having veteran volunteers in your organization, and boy, if you have a Vietnam-era veteran volunteer to go meet with a Vietnam-era veteran patient, boy, sometimes that just breaks down barriers. I've been taking care of veterans for a couple of decades now. I'm not a veteran, and I can't provide that relationship that some other Vietnam-era veterans can. So that may be another technique besides what sounds like a very successful technique you did, but to consider engaging your veteran volunteers in the approach too.
Right.
And our next question or comment is from George Wamberg.
Hi, Doctor. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and you are welcome to call me Scott, everyone.
Okay, Scott, thank you so very much. I appreciate that. Well, I'm director of our veterans program with Cornerstone Hospice in Tavares, Florida, and I'm also a Vietnam Marine. And when we're dealing with one of our Vietnam vets, just like the previous person said, you said, Scott, that we try to utilize our Vietnam vets to go in and see them. We have well over 50 veterans that work for us in 7 counties. And if we have a Vietnam vet, we will try to hook them up with another vet, especially if we can do it with the same branch.
Yep.
But one of the things that we try to do also is when I talk to them, I just let them know that they're doing this for their friends who never came back. And just turn it around completely. And that's, you find that in a lot of cases where somebody will receive the Medal of Honor. And when they'll talk about it, they don't talk about what they did. They talk about they're doing this for their friends. And once you can turn that around, I'll tell you, their hearts just, they start crying and everything else that they should be doing. But it's an amazing thing when you do that.
I love that approach. And you got me thinking, George, a while back, I was educated about use of the word hero, and I've been told, more than I learned it pretty quickly, but I heard from more than one person that be careful. Veterans oftentimes refer to heroes as the ones who didn't come back. I'm not a hero, and I like the way you phrased it. You were doing it for the friends who never came back, and just for all of us to be sensitive about not just using that word hero lightly or insensitively.
Yeah, what's amazing also, when we have probably today about 250 veterans on our service, and at least that many. And initially, when we started finding out if they'd like to have a salute, one of our first questions was, were you a veteran? And especially for the World War II and Korean veterans, a lot of them said no.
Wow.
And and we tried to figure out what was going on and finally realized that a lot of these men and women are so proud of their service back in those days that if they were not pulling the trigger 24/7, they didn't consider themselves as being a veteran. So now we ask them, were you ever in the armed forces?
Wow.
And now we have a better chance of talking to them in regards to thanking them for what they've done for us.
Yeah. And similarly, I work on an inpatient hospice unit at a VA medical center, and it's probably on a monthly basis have a veteran come in. I don't see why the VA is providing this kind of care for me. I was never injured. I never saw combat, and
sure.
They just can't believe that they have that full benefit regardless of service connectedness.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, thank you. And George, the only thing I can add is a No Veteran Dies Alone resource manual. I'm very grateful for Gwen Sullivan, Diane Hill-Taylor, Catherine Kemp, many others who have put together a resource manual that is in its final editing review process. And we plan to get that out to you in the near future. I'm going to say in the next month or two. It's really been on the order of years to get this finalized. So we're going to share that widely and hope it will help in engaging volunteers in the We Honor Veterans program and also doing a lot of what we're doing today of learning about military culture and how best to approach veterans at the end of life.
Yep, that's great. Thank you.
And we'll go next to Lisa Craner.
Yes. Just a question. I'm with Crossroads Hospice in Memphis, Tennessee, and we have a large VA hospital in our city. And in the past, we've had like one of the chaplains from the VA would come and do an in-service with our chaplains and social workers on different veterans issues and way to provide better care for veterans. I was just wondering, do you have any ideas of how we can strengthen like our hospice and our relationship with VA hospitals? Any ideas on how to do that better? Or?
Oh boy, I wish I had an easy answer on many levels to engage people there, and I think it may be. Did you work with? Is it Chaplain Pfeiffer?
Yeah, Joe Pfeiffer. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the VAs are obviously a large, complex organization. I believe the best way to approach it is, do you have a hospice veteran partnership in Memphis?
Well, we're at the level 4 veterans, but we really don't have like a fellow partner here in the city now.
Because it sounds to me like building a relationship, whether it's with a chaplain or with others from the VA Medical Center, would be my first step. And when I say building that relationship, this is not a relationship to promote referrals. This is a relationship to share expertise, to facilitate transitioning, but wanting, not just Crossroads Hospice to be there, but any other hospices that serve the Memphis area as well, so we can raise the level of expertise across the board And that just makes it better for the VA people who, in general, are usually pretty stretched. And if they're going to attend either a phone call or a face-to-face meeting quarterly or something, that way they get to meet with maybe a half dozen hospices as opposed to just Crossroads. So I'd look to establish a hospice veteran partnership in the Memphis area, and I think that joint trainings where you start to share in some of these training aspects, like an ELNIC for veterans curriculum, and start picking out maybe different modules. And I could envision the VA inviting the community in to get some training, perhaps facilitated by VA people, and then vice versa. Perhaps the community could put on some trainings and invite the VA people. So I don't know, does that get to some of the issues that you're confronting?
Sure, and we have had in-service in the past here at Crossroads, and we do invite other hospices and any other persons that would like to come to these educational events. But we're just continuing to, like you said, kind of seeking ways to continue build relationships and just providing education.
Yeah, I suspect there's more to the relationship than education, and issues, problem solving, whether it be concurrent care or looking to the VA, as I'm hearing about pretty regularly. Wow, Memphis probably sees, I don't know, somewhere in the range of 30, 40, 50,000 veterans a year. That sounds like that may be a good source of potential volunteers for community hospice programs. Wouldn't it be interesting if the VA would somehow communicate or offer to patients, here's a volunteer opportunity at community hospices? And I don't want to speak for the Memphis VA leadership, but for many of our veterans, volunteering is wonderfully rewarding. And I think that there's some what I'll call non-financial benefits that we can gain from partnering.
Thank you.
Sure.
And just a final reminder that it is *1 if you have a question or comment, and we'll go next to Nathan Gradishar.
Hi, Nathan.
Hi. I just had a quick comment and kind of a suggestion. We're very fortunate with our agency to have quite a few veteran volunteers, at least two of whom, and one advisory council member, who are retired history teachers. And they're able to really, learn a little bit about each individual veteran's participation in the conflicts or their work during times of peace, and really personalize the veterans' recognition ceremonies to the individual veteran and their family. So it's really something that's been really moving and compelling, because they really can dig deep and have a working knowledge of that individual veteran's experience in the military. So I just wanted to share that as another suggestion for a potential volunteer resource.
I think that's excellent, and I bet there are some other people on this call. Perhaps a way to structure what you just described would be the Veterans History Project. And it's a website, and it provides the resource materials to interview a veteran about their military background. And it may not match what your history teachers are doing, but it may give us non-history teacher people somewhat of a format to walk through. And if you do complete the Veterans History Project, you then submit the recording of it, and this is with family permission and veteran permission and all of that, assuming the veteran can interact with you. You send it in, and it gets archived in the National Archives and is available for really forever, and family members and others can access it.
And I happen to have just gone through a training for that, and their website is loc.gov/vets.
Neat.
That's a great.
Oh, and I'm sorry, sir. If you'd like to press *1 again, I'll finish your question, and we'll go back to Debbie Flagging.
Hi, I had a question about, we have a VA mobile center, I guess is what you call it, just a little doctor's office type thing in our town. We don't have a hospital. Is there, would they allow us to put a poster up or anything to advertise for VA veterans or veteran volunteers?
That would probably be decided at a local level. We generally call those, it doesn't sound like it's mobile. If it's a doctor's office, it sounds like it's kind of a small office. We call that a community-based outpatient clinic.
That's it, right.
And they all, if you will, are under the umbrella of a medical center, a VA medical center. So what you can do is, I was getting some feedback. I apologize. You could check with that clinic and make the request. And I would recommend sharing maybe a smaller size copy of the poster, or ask for their permission as to how do you believe we could recruit for veteran volunteers. And it'll probably have to go up through the organizational chain to a facility director or higher up, and then maybe they can give you some guidance. But I believe it's possible, and I think another idea is to talk with the voluntary services. Every VA medical center has a voluntary services office, and sometimes talking with them and asking about volunteers and recruiting volunteers. Most of the VA voluntary services are doing similar things, trying to get the word out, because most of our volunteers, quite frankly, are getting much older, and it's, I think, been a little more challenging to engage the younger veterans in volunteering activities.
And we'll go back to Nathan Gradishar. I'm sorry, sir.
Oh, we cut you off, Nathan.
Okay. No, that's fine. I was just sharing the website for the Veterans History Project. It's loc.gov/vets.
Super. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just a reminder, it is *1 if you do have a question or comment at this time. And we'll pause for a moment.
Yeah, and just a reminder to everyone, please feel free to share, not only any questions you have for Scott, but any updates, happenings, best practices, anything you'd like to share.
And we'll go next to Elaine Lundstrom.
Hi, I'm with Mercy Hospice again in Des Moines, Iowa, and we just finished our Level 2 and beginning our work to pull together a veteran-to-veteran program, or the volunteer program, and actually do have several veterans already involved. But one of our ideas was to contact other local hospices and to talk about sharing veteran volunteers among our community. And I just wonder if that's happened in any other cities around, or rural areas for that matter, around the country.
I love that idea.
Yeah, not compete. Instead, we work together.
I really, a younger generation than me has made the decision that this is going to be a sharing economy, and I think your idea of sharing veteran volunteers just makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Has anyone done it?
We will let people call in on the lines if they have, and I just share some of the related issues that I don't know the answers to, and that is, the training program for volunteers. I get the sense that it's not uniform across all the community hospices, and so what I'd love to be able to do is at some point have us all agree on what are the core elements of the training that should be provided to volunteers, and that way I think it would promote and facilitate this sharing more readily if we all knew kind of what the threshold was for adequate training.
And we'll go back to Nathan Gradishar.
I just wanted, this is totally off topic, but it was just something I found interesting, that locally we have a number of different organizations bringing replicas of the Vietnam Memorial Wall to our area, and I didn't know if that was something that was happening in other areas where we have hospice partners, but I wanted to find out if that was the case. We have 4 this year that I'm aware of, perhaps more, in the Cleveland area. And then I wanted to see if anyone had any suggestions for other specific outreach into the Vietnam-era veteran community.
Great questions. I know the traveling Vietnam wall is coming through Pennsylvania also in the very near future. I've seen posters up all around. But great questions if anyone wants to call in.
And we'll go to Christine Berkey.
Hi, Christine Berkey with Cascade Health Solutions Hospice, and I just wanted to touch base on the fact that our hospice is building the first hospice house in Lane County, servicing the Eugene and Springfield areas. And so this is very new to all of us, and we in Eugene have a VA clinic that just opened, but not a hospital or a place for veterans to go if they have a need when they're on hospice care. And I was wondering, Scott, if you could give me some guidance on how we could build that relationship with the VA so that they could utilize our hospice house here locally so that veterans do not have to leave their home of Springfield and Eugene and travel to Roseburg or Portland, Oregon to get that care.
Yeah, that's a really good question. The state of Oregon, I've been out there, I guess it's a few years ago now. Your state hospice association has just, at the time when I met with the group, they had this really phenomenal effort to engage and learn more about the care of veterans and participate in the We Honor Veterans program. And I think that the part of the reason for that is a guy by the name of Ryan Weller. Chris, have you worked with Ryan, Christine?
I have.
Okay. Yeah, Ryan and I have worked together for a number of years, and Ryan is just this consummate professional social worker, gets things done. I think he would be a starting point, and where VAs, and I'm perhaps a bit direct on these calls to try to give it to you like it really is, and the reality is that according to VA policy, we do pay for all levels of care, the 4 levels of care under the Medicare hospice benefit. If the veteran chooses to have VA as a payer source, we still pay for that, but that inpatient threshold is, it would, for VA even to legally pay for it, it would have to be under, an acute inpatient admission. It could not be, you said hospice house, which had me thinking of a residential or personal care type facility. And frankly, we are not authorized by Congress to cover that payment.
Okay.
So that's where the rub gets. So we'll pay for the the GIP or the general inpatient care. We're allowed to pay for that. There's some barriers to it that we can kind of talk offline about. But by policy and by law, VA is allowed to pay for the GIP. We are not allowed to pay for room and board related to. When I hear the word house, I think of a more residential care or personal care facility.
No, it's exactly that. It's for GIP patients for uncontrolled symptoms, and so caring for them in the home isn't working. For a short stay, we bring them to the hospice house and get them their symptoms under control, and they can either return to where they were living. But this way, they're local. They can stay local opposed to being transported to Portland or Roseburg, which are the 2 hospitals, and then they're closer to home. Their families are here.
That's the strongest and best argument, and I have to share with you for VA to pay for it, where I believe we're a little more complicated, if you will, than the Medicare hospice benefit is that the VA requires notice of any changes in level. So you can't just put them in the hospice house and then send us a bill a month later that we put them in the hospice house for a week or two. So that's where some of the challenges have been, but I'm confident across VA that if you can establish the relationship with the palliative care or hospice teams at the the medical center that oversees that budget. We can work with it, and I think this idea of we want to avoid burdening a terminally ill veteran and their family and friends from having to travel onerous distances. And I don't know off the top of my head the distance from Eugene to Portland or Eugene to Roseburg, but I'm guessing it's more than 40 miles.
Yes, they're close to an hour and a half to 2 hours piece, depending on traffic.
Yeah, with the VA Choice Act that came out in the last couple of years, that threshold of 40 miles has been publicized so widely. I think I would use that to your advantage in supporting veterans not having to travel 2 hours to receive inpatient care from a VA facility.
Okay, very good. Thank you for your help.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the new hospice inpatient facility.
We're very excited. We'll have 14 beds. So.
That's fun. That's neat.
Thank you.
And do we have time for just a couple more questions, or?
I'm available, but I'll go with whatever the facilitators say is best.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, there's two left at this point, so we'll go to Ann Jansen.
Sure.
Oh, hi. I'm calling from Optimal Hospice in California, and we have tried to partner with other hospices for our training, not just vets, but for in general. And it's just the amount of paperwork and time required from the volunteers was, some said staggering. It was just way too much paperwork. That's why I was hoping to find something that was more of an abbreviated, that's been accepted training program for our vets, especially the ones that we think would just be mostly doing the pinning ceremonies, whether due to their time constraints or just their desire, how involved they want to get. So that's what we've kind of been looking for here, something more abbreviated, but yet still covers the major bases. And just if anyone was out there using something.
That's very interesting. What's the best repository to? Like if someone wanted to get back to you about this, we're running out of time here, would they just send an email to NHPCO?
Yeah, or directly to me. I can put mine out there. It's A. Jansen, JANSSEN, at optimalcares.com. And Optimal is OPTIMAL, cares with an S.com.
Yeah, because I mean, that really sounds, I'd never thought before of having what I call different tiers for volunteers, and you could, be approved to go do pinning ceremonies and or be approved to spend more time at the bedside and actually talk with family. That's an interesting concept, and that really may reduce the threshold or the barrier to some volunteers not wanting to get involved to have to go through everything.
Yeah, because it does seem to be what holds people back, although our one vet that did come forward was going to be our first abbreviated one, and he ended up saying, I really want to get more involved, and end up doing the whole program, which is great. But yeah, we really would love a list to have to be able to call on and say, Joe can't do it, can John do it, can Sue do it? That's what we're hoping to grow to.
Yeah, and I was thinking the pinning ceremony training could be a gateway for getting more volunteers in after they kind of get caught by the bug and want to do it.
Exactly, yeah.
That's neat.
That's what we're trying to find. Thank you.
I think there might be one more question.
And that's from Toby Weiss.
Great. Hi, Toby.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
So I wanted to comment and ask a question about the notion that you fielded about sharing volunteers, and it sounds like a win-win for everybody. And yet I know that we have. I'm in New York. I know that we have a real problem in two ways. One is getting volunteers who are able to commit to 3 to 4 hours a week of their time, and the cost of investing in the employee's onboarding process. And I'm stretching my mind to think what kind of a viable process could be developed among community hospices that would be collaborative versus competitive that would enable the sharing component. That's something I don't know that we have. I can't even envision that in our arena. But then the other thing that I wanted to comment on was based on this conversation and one that was earlier in the fall, which was accessing veteran volunteers through Vfw'S and so forth, which we've also had a very, very hard time with. We found some very crotchety old men who just didn't want to talk about hospice. We had a very hard time. It's just the truth. But where we did have success, and this is also a little bit, it's a slippery slope. We did find, I was lucky enough to source a retired Army major who heads up a junior ROTC program, which is one of the things that was discussed earlier. And it has been a treasure trove of success finding this retired major, because the ROTC cadets that come and the major, it really does become a living world history experience for the family, for the veteran, and for us. But it's a struggle. So I'm coming out and I'm saying the same thing. I want to know if anybody has ideas about how you could share volunteers that have to go through a 12-hour orientation, are unpaid employees. We expect a lot from them. They get paid nothing. And then how do you figure somebody's going to be able to donate 6 to 8 hours a week?
Toby, you bring up really good points, and I just want to try to put out one concrete example, and so we have a hospice veteran partnership in central Pennsylvania, and this is a dream. This isn't reality, so I just want you to take it in that context. So we meet with our community hospice partners, let's say probably on the order of a dozen or so get together. What if we decided, out of that 12-hour orientation that we think is a volunteer training requirement, we all agree on 8 hours of it. Let's say, that much. So why don't we get together and, Toby, could you do the first hour of the training? Could Hospice B, maybe they take on the second hour of the training, Hospice C take on the third hour, and the VA take on another hour of the training. And so you have facilitators from a number of community hospices, a VA person, and you bring in the volunteers to perhaps a VA auditorium. And it's a wonderful, paramilitary setting in the VA, and maybe even meet with some veterans there to kind of share their story. And at the end of the day, the volunteers go back to whatever individual hospice or VA facility and get kind of what I call the final, in the VA, you have to take your HIPAA training and it has to be signed off on the computer. So we'll all have our little uniqueness, but I suspect there are some core elements of volunteer training that we might be able to do more efficiently than all of us having to do all of it ourselves. Maybe Toby hung up, and that's okay, but that was just one kind of vision as to how we might be able to make it happen.
And it appears we have no further questions at this time. We'll turn the program back over to our speakers for any additional or concluding remarks.
Well, thank you, Lori. And yes, I just wanted to thank again all of our speakers for participating, as well as our partners for being on the call. Just a couple of really quick NHPCO updates. I think first and foremost, we're very happy and excited to welcome our new team member, Hope Foss. She's our new access coordinator, so she will be working day-to-day with many of you, answering your questions and calls and those activity reports. We also have a trusty intern, Doha, here, who will be helping us throughout the summer as well. So again, thank you to everyone. We will continue to do all that we can to provide, the best service that we can to you who are out there serving all of our veterans. Scott, do you have any closing comments?
I think you said it. Thank you for all you do very much.
Yes, Thank you, everyone. We're looking forward to our next call. That will be September 14th, and there'll be an announcement coming out. So thank you again to everyone.
And ladies and gentlemen, once again, that does conclude today's conference, and I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today.